It's so good to see all of you to celebrate together such a beautiful feast, indeed on such a beautiful day. We have two icons today that are presented to us in the readings. First icon that I want to address is the one that we just sang about in the responsorial psalm. The Queen stands at your right hand, arrayed in gold. Now, when that phrase, stands at your right hand, is used, it usually refers to Jesus. Jesus stands at the right hand of the Father as the eternal priest. Stands at your right hand, takes his place at your right hand, is talk about the priesthood. And it's usually used of Jesus at the right hand of the Father. But in the psalm we hear it used of Mary standing next to Christ. The Queen stands at your right hand, Lord Jesus, arrayed in gold, which tells us that somehow Mary is especially incorporated into the high priesthood of Jesus, somehow. Now, obviously, she's not a priest. So how is she incorporated into the high priesthood of Jesus? He took his body and his blood from her body and her blood. So the body and blood that Jesus sacrificed on the cross had its origin in the body and blood of our Blessed Mother. That's how intimately bound she was to her Son's priesthood. What he offered, his own body and blood, had its human origin in Mary. And so it's no wonder that just as Jesus was raised, body and soul, into heaven, his body and blood were glorified in heaven. That was the end of the story. So too, Mary's body and blood uniquely are glorified with him in heaven. She alone is present, body and soul, and all the rest of us await the resurrection of the body. And that's an important thing to think about, because I'm finding more and more, just the other day as a matter of fact, I mentioned something about this, and a very fine Catholic person said to me, I never knew that our body was going to be raised up too. I thought it was just the soul. I can believe that because we haven't been that clear about things over the years. But she really didn't believe that her body was also going to be raised up, just the soul. And it's important that people know about the resurrection of the body, because that has to do with what we do with the body after death. After death, God still has use for that body. He intends to raise it up on the last day. The body of the deceased is sacred, and so should be treated in every way as such. If people don't believe that the body is going to be raised up, the reverence and respect due to the body of the deceased is likely to decrease. So this is very important in practice. The Assumption of the Blessed Mother is a defined dogma of our Church. It's essential to our faith. We need to accept it and to understand it in some basic way in order to be saved. So we should think about all that glorified body of our Blessed Mother means. That's the first icon that we have of the Assumption of Mary. The Queen standing at the right hand, arrayed in gold. And the second is not second in rank, it's the principal icon of the feast. That is the woman clothed with the sun, on her head a crown of 12 stars. The moon was under her feet, and she also was destined to conquer the dragon, to conquer Satan. And this is very important in our daily lives as Catholic Christians. The image of Our Lady assumed into heaven is one that should be part of our daily life, because we are unbelievably surrounded by the forces of evil, by the forces of Satan. They take a million different forms. I can't go into each one here, but I do go into them bit by bit over the course of the year, and I think all of you here know what they are, those forces of evil. And they are destined to be crushed under the foot of the woman clothed with the sun. The icon of the Assumption is our cry of victory that even our weak humanity is destined completely to conquer evil. That's God's will. And so no matter how fearsome the forces of evil arrayed against us might seem, in the end they don't have a chance. And the proof of that, even in terms of our human nature, is Mary raised, human body, human soul, to the glory of heaven. When we're tempted to get tired fighting our battle against evil, we look to her. We look to victory assured, even for our weak humanity. And so that icon of Mary assumed into heaven is one that strengthens us so that we never get discouraged, and one that fills us with endless hope. Let this beautiful feast of the Assumption live powerfully every day in our minds and hearts. Praise be Jesus Christ.
Amen.